order. This is the July 12th, 2023 Pendleton Board of Stormwater Management. I'll go ahead and do a roll call, starting to my left.
Jerry Kelly.
Kyle Eichhorn. All right, we do have a quorum with 2 of 3 members present. I'll entertain a motion to approve the previous minutes from the March 2023 meeting.
That motion.
All right, and I'll second the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting minutes approved. On to the next item. If you want to scroll. I think it's just the Elm Street. Is that the? All right, no old business. On to new business. Elm Street Stormwater Project Engineering Design Contract.
Texted person. What's that called? What's the status? Not attendee.
Yeah, I hit promote to panelist.
You did?
But I think she has to accept it.
Okay, what did it say here?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So I wanted to bring you up to speed. What was the last thing we talked about on Elm Street? Because I got to
We discussed the bricking and the new storm pipe, I think. That's what I recall from the last meeting.
Okay, so I think the newest update is that since we met, we cameraed it again. I talked to you about that in the public meeting. I know it might have been privately, but
Yeah, I don't recall if we discussed that or not.
so if you go to the last sheet, where it's got the aerial photo with a diagram on it.
Yep.
So we have found the line has collapsed. I don't think it had before, or they just missed it the first time they went through the camera with the camera. So as you can see, High Street, right? And then the diagonal line with the 2 X's that run along the edge of the lumber company.
Mm-hmm.
All
Like
right.
right underneath the edge of the building.
It goes right underneath the sidewalk. It's
Oh.
always been like yeah, they built it because it was built between the railroad and the lumber company, which probably came in after the
Mm.
he squeezed it in there. You know, Kurt Hall could get away with murder, right? Back in the day. He built that store like love the man. I'm just kidding.
So the plan's to do a reroute there.
Yeah, so what we'll do is, I don't think we ought to backfill it unless I hear a good argument for it. We need to leave it open because it is still flowing. And I forget what the diameter of it is.
You mean the X'd out part?
The X'd out
Yeah.
part, not backfill it, but go ahead and reroute the inlets so that the inlets there at High and a little bit north on Pelton Avenue, north of High, are connected to a new line that'll run down Pendleton Avenue. And that'll be phase 2. I know I'm talking backwards, but this diagram doesn't make sense unless we talk about what is all that stuff going on up there. So that'll be phase 2. Phase 1 is we'll start construction, new construction. First of all, we're going to redo Elm Street with a brick, and then totally replace the existing 100-some-odd-year-old line, 18 inches that runs along the railroad bed behind all those homes. And some of those properties have substantial flooding. And we've got
Is that all elevated through there? Where the
it's
storm line
it's
is?
sort of like if you look at the profile, like here's a yard, railroad bed. It's right up, sometimes halfway up the railroad bed. Sometimes some of the structures, there's some drain inlets in there. They almost look like they're lower than the line. They're not, of course, but you sort of, your eyeball gets that perception. So there's some inlets in the backyards, and what happens is that line is so plugged up that it'll backflow. Yeah, in the drain. And then, if you remember on Elm Street, probably the start of all these problems several years ago is when, the electric, not the current crew, but previous crews put a, power pole right through the line on Elm Street, yeah. And then, of course, that impeded the flow. Sediment started to build up, and then we just had a compound problems, let alone the fact it's 100 some odd years. And then we take the line down to cross past at Main Street, just north of Madison Avenue. And then discharge, set the manholes, abandon the manhole that's in the ground, not in the street. And then abandon that manhole, reroute it, so the manhole's now in the street, and then bring it into that.
The ditch there.
Yeah, that ditch. So part of that is when Kyle Smith is putting in those homes, we could have made him put in the sidewalk, but I would have felt guilty coming right back and ripping that sidewalk now for this project. And so we'll make that.
So I see you got where the sidewalk stops on this exhibit isn't quite the south end of Arabian Point. Is that going to extend all the way to the southmost lot on Main Street? Or does the topography prevent?
My intent was, that old railroad limestone inlet
Mm-hmm.
was to stop there.
Okay.
With the intent later of, that's a wide right of way, with the intent of later putting in some more sidewalks.
In front of those, I guess the drive, because those last 3 lots will have driveways onto Main Street. So
Yes.
it won't go down there yet. Past that culvert or past that limestone. Yeah. Okay.
If we don't, I probably will have to do it. We may do an add-on. You bring up a good point. So of the past Kyle's house, there's 2 lots he's building.
Mm-hmm.
He's cutting into that old berm. There's a low point that always floods on Main Street. And all that water collects that comes down Main Street, both from the north and south. Used to be Jay Gardner's house, I believe. Collects at that low point. We're gonna put 2 inlets in that area and run that across and take it to the creek now that Kyle's knocked out that berm. We have an easement to do it. I may add that to the project, but I don't. I think construction on those homes is gonna happen before we ever get to construction on this. I'm probably have to do it. That's impossible at all.
Are there any inlets in the backyards of the houses along Pendleton Avenue where this line goes?
So, no, but I intend that when they get into the design phase, I have to put it in. So they'll be on both sides of the railroad berm. Right, because both sides of the berm has flood. And I believe there were existing inlets on both sides. I don't know how there couldn't have been.
I mean,
I'm
really,
just saying,
the berm ought to be a swale, but it would function better. But
Yeah,
just thinking about houses that had sump pumps currently maybe connected to the sanitary sewer, if they disconnect them, where they would go with those.
we let people hook up sump pumps because we don't want them discharging in the street. If they want to hook up to a line. Yeah, well, either we do inlets or do laterals. I mean, that's what we've done. That's what we did on Water Street, and that's what we did on Franklin. Every property got a lateral or an opportunity to hook up.
is do a lateral every other lot corner, so
Yeah, go right to the,
two people
the
would go to a
common
common,
boundary.
yeah.
And then would you communicate with the residents or the owners through there and say, if you have a sump pump, here's your opportunity?
Yeah, we're proactive on that. In fact, Mr. Attorney, didn't we pass an ordinance that if you have if you can't just, if we bring a line to you, you can't just charge, you can't discharge to the street, correct? You have to connect.
I know that the regional waste district has a program that will pay, I think it's up to $200 for them to disconnect their supplements, which exceeds towards the cost of it.
So, I mean, so they're supposed to do that.
Right, but
It's like, it's a,
as an incentive to get people, because
it's an amnesty, right?
yeah. Even if we know about it and we send them a disconnect letter, that's available to them.
Yeah, we can put that in the package.
I mean, it's just off the top of my head, so can we get something to work for?
Yeah, so like Water Street and Franklin Street, we had when we were ready to go just before final design. So some modifications. We had a public meeting on the project. And then I think the engineering firm distributed stuff to every homeowner before. So this will be part of
And it says that, so in the future, that line down the old lumberyard property will just kind of be a remnant and
right.
just be left in
I don't want
place.
to play because God knows what it's connected to.
But the majority of the surface water will come down the
Yep.
new line and
Yep.
around the corner. It
Yep.
says future community crossings project. Is that,
Yeah, so if we tear up that street, we might as well reconstruct it.
Okay.
We can't, I don't think we can use community crossings for the storm line itself. But while we're there, we might as well reconstruct it. It may be all.
and Banning will size the pipe appropriately, I assume.
Right. Right, it's bigger.
I mean, you might as well, like, when you're done.
You've got an easement, right? There's sanitary right down there, you got an easement, and then we have a prescriptive easement.
Questions? So is Banning working on it currently?
Yeah, they're surveying.
So it'll be 24 construction?
Yeah.
And it's all funded through the stormwater fees?
Stormwater, and we'll probably have to use some tip. Construction costs, I'll get back with.
Yeah.
We have to get twice. If I remember right, the last one was. Broke. It's no more than 1.2 million. with ever all costs.
That was right, your engineering. Inlets, however, it's inlets of via Elm Street. So, that's one of our major flooding areas. Is that thing. It's backing up because the line is compromised here and all the way down, so this backs up. It takes water, it just, take it once it's full. Drains mostly into this lady's property.
She's the one who was at a meeting previously.
All that stormwater from this quadrant of town ends up in her basement. Or gurgles up. When it's really, really bad, it'll overflow in those yards. Craig Campbell's yards, one of them. And it'll overflow onto Main Street. It go down Main Street and then makes a hard right turn down Tile. Goes into the main. I mean, I've not personally seen it yet, but guys say it's like a river. That's all it fixes.
We don't need to do anything on no action or anything. Yeah. It's good. Another good project.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, we have the only thing left to do this is the last major project that we need to get done to get all the flooding that was occurring in the downtown area. Then there's going to be smaller projects that are done around mostly in the alleys around parallel to Pearl Street. Anything after that would be the only thing I can see. The county on that drain out by your house. It's diagonal to your property.
Rosa Fry.
Yeah.
I know that was on the list for the, at old 132,
Yeah.
but we didn't take over the ones that were partial, right?
Yeah, we didn't take over that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, are they really gonna complain if we don't say, hey, it's maintenance? Are you gonna be upset?
Yeah, I don't think it collects much in maintenance.
Thank you. But it floods your intersection, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and now Carrick Lane going there, it's wonderful. Oh, well, the next major one that'll be involved stormwater money construction.
I was wondering, because we had that list when we passed the
Yeah.
stormwater fees of the depot parking lots.
So we'll have to reconstruct the inlets at the Broadway and State Street. Reconstruct that line. We stubbed off when we did Water Street. Remember, we stubbed off the storm line.
Yeah, for the future.
So we'll do that, and then we'll use that as an opportunity to, of course, reconstruct the depot parking lot and then.
So then when do we come up with a new set of, I assume this list just, we
Yeah.
keep adding to it, right?
Yeah.
How does that process? Public input meetings or?
Well, I don't know what so as we go out from town, I mean, so some of the flooding problem that was probably on the list is gonna come off because of the reconstruction of 67 to the A.B. Taylor. Right there at Central Way, Hayden Way. They were dumping NDOT water into that legal drain that was just sized for that subdivision. They didn't maintain their culverts, they're backing up, so it was taking their water. So that goes away. the ditch that's there between Hardee's, Hardee's, Speedway, and Needlers. Hi, you're early. This is Stormwater right now. But you can sit up there if you want. And then, so once they're done with their construction, we'll look at what we need to do with that ditch. The rest really is taking high school water. Then after that, as development happens around town, that's probably we're gonna put that on the developers as much as possible. The drainage projects, but to this extent possible, anything beyond what they. I would imagine a lot of that's gonna be reconstruction of some. Yeah. I mean, if that ground, there was talk of that ground developing west of Carrick Land on 600 South, like we would have to do something there. Make them do it.
Yeah. Do downstream improvements.
Right.
Yeah. Guess we could, I think the other thing on the agenda was the McCarty update.
So the only thing left on the punch list is some low spots that have settled by the yellow house. And it's up to them. I told them, I don't care if you run a field drain right along your fence line. I don't care if you do a fence drain, you regrade, whatever. It's up to them to do it. They just need to get rid of that. Then, so the line runs through Dick Riley's property across from the Ambets. He's got some settling, so that's holding water. Those are the only things I see left with that first phase. Of course, the next phase is to pick up where they left off at the railroad track, 400 the railroad track, 467. And they connect to whatever field tile is left on the other side of 67.
It's a big board. Yeah. Is that, I mean, the plans and everything included that, right? That's the
Yeah.
phase 2.
I mean, they're working on the plans that I sort of. We got done with that, and they went on this other project. We have this grant that paid for the parking drain has deadlines.
Yeah.
And to keep the grantor off our back, we're substantially using the grant construction benefit. Federal money, they're under pressure statewide to get this money spent. They gave us more money because we were more ready than anybody else to start spending their money. So that's why the McCarty or the reconstruction was picked up. So that board under the railroad track at 67 be all have their board. I don't know. I don't know if it'd be one or. I've never been involved in a railroad boring project.
I mean, I
Want
know
it to come out. Does the railroad say it's got to be exposed after it's on the other side?
they're pretty particular. They probably would want it cased. And
Right.
I mean, I would imagine you'd probably do it all. They have like an embankment line that you're not supposed to disturb
Right.
within that area. When you project that out towards 67, it may be too close to the highway to even fit the pit in there. So. What size is it? 30?
They downsize it. So what were we? Were we 30 or 36 through the horse pasture? Can't remember. It's downsized. Must be 36 and the downsize to 30. or 30 down. The pipe that they put in feels like 36 to me. But I can't remember if it's 36.
It's corrugated, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, so the outside's a lot bigger.
and it's perforated, right, so it feels bigger. So maybe it is 30 to 20.
It's still a good size.
Yeah, and it's constantly flowing, so everybody that worked on the project feels that there's a natural spring somewhere.
Anything else on that?
And it's constantly flowing on the other side of Broadway. So the various areas they tap, it was hard, they never could constantly stay on the old line. They were constantly coming across. So that old line is still flowing water, has to be flowing water from on the other side. So 67.
Oh, and then it just percolates into the new pipe.
So,
I think that was it.
Yeah.
Any public comment?
make something up.
Nobody's online.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess we'll just go ahead and adjourn. All right. We need to do a motion.
No, you could resign. I think you've got
Okay.
another vote there.
All right, meeting adjourned.